lighting?
Lighting's good.
Nice.
Doesn't look too bad.
So, good morning and welcome everybody to our show. I'm Darryl and this is my friend TK and this is the Toronto Real Estate Show.
That was a good intro. That was nice. You've been working on that one.
I thought about it once.
You thought about it once. That's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's you got to start with a thought. So.
Thank you to all 23 of our subscribers.
Whoa.
Thanks to those of you that are watching our show regularly. We really love you and appreciate you. This thing is taking off.
I think I found another computer at my house to subscribe from. So, that helped out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you for that.
Pumped up our numbers.
I no longer care about the numbers, but we
usually are meeting. We're usually meeting on Sunday mornings to do this, but we're doing this a little early because of the recent release of information.
Correct. This is a special episode. I'm going to put an effect on my voice there later.
Yeah, we don't need the effect, but June 2020 market results came out. So obviously this is making a lot of news.
It's been crazy. So here, I'll do the headlines quickly because they're all basically the same.
Sure.
Remax. COVID-19 can't slow demand in Toronto real estate market. No kidding. How about this one? Despite the pandemic, Toronto house prices soar to an all-time new high in June.
House prices, I love it.
Look at that. All-time new high in June. I love it. Toronto.
Average price $930,000. That includes all condos, detached to town, semis, everything. $930,000, $869, which is up 11.9% year over year.
Yes. Well, so we have this article says Toronto home prices in June exceed pre-COVID levels, growing 2% since February. From TRREB. So the newly named TRREB.
TRREB, yep.
So this one's saying 2%, but Toronto. This is from prior
February
to COVID.
2020. So that's a month-over-month calculation from February. They're figuring out exactly because we saw a decrease in the seasonally adjusted prices in.
But compared to February, it says since February.
And May. Pardon me?
Compared to February or since February?
Compared to February. So February 2020.
Yeah, okay.
That's the peak, right? Because March was a half month. So February was our last full month of mayhem. Everything was really, really crazy. Prices were going up, reaching new highs again. And so now we're saying, hey, we're even up from that. Not just June 2019, but we're actually up from February 2020.
It's an interesting point to take the measurement from, because I'll bet you if you go 2 more weeks into March, that number is probably 0, because those 2 weeks in March went crazy, right?
Well, yeah, we would be good point.
Which is fine.
I mean, we'd be closer.
Even is good too, considering what's going on. So here, 12%.
Yeah, in a lot of areas we're well above the first 2 weeks of March, but some areas, you're right. I haven't seen the same prices in every single neighborhood. What's up next? What do we got?
Toronto's real estate market is rebounding fast as pandemic restrictions lift.
Yep.
Toronto home prices soar as listings remain low, but some question how long that will last.
Ooh, scary.
How long will that last?
It's true. We got a lot of stuff. Big federal deficit this year.
I know you want to get to the meat and potatoes here.
Let's do it. So like I said, I mentioned about the increase in sales. I think the biggest thing for me is this. When we're looking at average prices, right? So take this. Let's say in February, okay, there's 2 sales total, and both sales are for $1 million. Now in March, there's another 2 sales, and this time, so the average price in February is $1 million, clearly. In March, there's 2 sales. One's for $1 million, one's for $2 million. So the average price in March is $1.5 million. So did those $1 million houses go up $500,000 because the average prices did?
Sure. No.
Of course not.
No, and of course. And you have a much smaller sampling than normal as well, right?
Sure. So that example, though, highlights how these statistics are being presented as being these huge price increases that, everyone should be expecting 12% or more. But the number of sales, $2 million and above, compared to June 2019, we're up 42%. So now, as far as a weighted average, when you're looking at what house prices are being considered for the average house price in Toronto, we've got 42% more listings over $2 million factoring into that equation. That's going to bump up the average sale price by a lot more than maybe what it really is, right? So that's something that everyone really has to consider, because at the end of the day, that's something that we do look at to make sure that the numbers that are coming out are being released and that there's not going to be any type of confusion. And as an agent, when you're looking into this kind of stuff, you don't want to be fooled by thinking that everything that the government or the Toronto Real Estate Board releases is going to be beneficial. So there is a significant change in something which they call the HPI, home price index, and that's something that we have to look at sometimes too to figure out how much of an increase. So we're looking at somewhere under 12%, where you could be looking at average, depending TRREB totals for all segments combined is 8.17%. So not 12. 12% is when you're starting to factor in, that there's so many more expensive houses. But when you do adjust that based on which houses are being sold, how many bedrooms, square footage, and everything else, the real number is 8.1% that I would use. How does that sound?
Sounds like there's a party
Less than
going on
12%.
in the background. Is there
Sorry.
a wrestling match going on there?
Might be a wrestling match going on up there.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can spin the numbers any way that you kind of want, depending on what number you look at and at what point in time and what you want to try and get across, right? So,
sure.
If you look at the numbers, though, it seems like there's a very, very, very obvious story, and that's like the market is taken off right from where it left off.
Yes.
Like right from where it left off. So what I thought was pretty interesting was, okay, so sales last 3 years. You can see 2020 was pretty much in line with the last few years in January, maybe closer to 2017 in February, which was a hot year, down from 2017, but up from 18 and 19 in March. And I mean, imagine where it was heading in April, because March is only half a month here, right? So I mean, we would have definitely seen 2017 levels in March, and God knows what in April. And so I mean, I was just saying to my partner that, as annoying as it is, because we're trying to sell a property right now, I mean, this pandemic has really done the Toronto real estate market kind of a favor and cooled it off. There wasn't government intervention that like slowed it down this time. But I mean, it was going to run away. You can just see it. And I mean, all the news was so positive. People were just flooding in here, which is great too. But this just gave us a little bit of a like reprise from just Crazyville. And now it'll let us kind of ramp back up to Crazyville over a few months now. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know what the next few months bring, but every stat that I'm looking at, I mean, look, we're right in line with where we should be for June. And I mean, it's June or July.
This is going to be one of the best Julys on record. I can already tell.
It's probably going to be a
put it in
July.
writing and sign my name on the bottom. That's what I'm seeing right now in the freehold market. That's
if we could stay on pace with one of the last 3 years that were all unbelievably amazing years, then okay. So it would be great if we could have just dodged a big bullet, taken this little hit here for a few months, and just chug away like nobody's business. And that's really what I see in the stats here. Like we talk about our sales.
Let's go to that new listings. Go back up. Yeah. Right. So new listings, right? So this is a huge part of what determines, how active the market's going to be. And so if we start to see the sales and listings become out of proportion, we're going to start having issues. So right now, because there is still an undersupply, we've got a very, very, very low what we call months of inventory. So we have about 1.6 months of inventory in June. So it'll take 1.6 months to be able to sell all the current inventory at the current rate of sales. That's very low. In February and March, we had some numbers that are, low 1.2, 1.3, something along those lines, which is a very strong multiple offer. Prices aggressively moving up every single week. That kind of market. We had that in June. If we start to see that fall, because it's hard to paint a picture that more people are going to be putting their houses on the market in July. Like it really is. There's no easy way for us to explain that, right? Because more people will want to go on vacations, more people want to take time off. People still don't want people in their homes. The mortgage deferrals are protecting people, so if they are hurting for money, they probably can hang on another few more months. There might be extensions on the mortgage deferrals that they've talked about. But we're definitely seeing a lot more buyers, and I'm seeing new buyers come into the market. I'm getting calls from people just starting because they had plans earlier, they put them on hold, and now they're coming into the market in July, which is not typical.
And are these
We could see the
first-time
months of inventory.
buyers? These are
Pardon?
first-time buyers that are calling you, or
Several first-time buyers and people who are, I got somebody who's looking to downsize. I got people who are making moves, right? Just typical scenarios, right? So that months of inventory, if we start to see that fall from already a low number in June, we could be in a really, really, really aggressive competitive sellers market in the freehold segments in July and August.
yeah, and I mean, the demand obviously is not waning. That is apparent, right? So it's just going to be supply. And I mean, we can get into it in the next episode because we're talking about stats. But I mean, it's obvious that Ontario and the city of Toronto are like already trying to do whatever it takes to get this economy and the real estate market humming with a couple of policies and just construction policies and pushing things through the permit application. But again, if you look at even the new listings, like we're right where we're supposed to be again.
Yep. Yeah, we just don't want to see that those numbers come up on that chart.
It's going to.
Interest rates right now have just been lowered as far as the bank rates go, and the 5-year fixed rate you can get under 2%.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Well, and I just saw an article about that they're like opening up the floodgates for the immigration again too, and they're like inviting in thousands and thousands of people, skilled workers who are gonna need some place to live, and they're gonna want to be close to the jobs, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So those are all great. What's the next chart there you have, Darryl?
We got the sales to new listings ratio.
Okay, yep. So that was the
which
we were
we've
just talking
talked
about that.
a whole bunch of times. Average resale price, which we've talked about, which is just crazy. Like, look,
we're at the highest price ever for June.
Ever.
Fantastic. That includes all areas, so that's something to think about. But that's great.
But I don't know. This must be highest price ever? Forget about June, like ever.
That's what I mean. In June, it was the highest price ever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then these charts, I don't really understand what they're telling me. Affordability indicator looks like we're not getting any more affordable.
We're not getting any more affordable, that's for sure, right?
No, and that's
but again, interest rates
staying
low, all that kind of stuff. They're building more affordable units out there right now. The city's obviously got a lot of stuff in play, but the biggest thing is when people are talking to me about average prices and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, my house must be worth more." Is I just look at what houses were being sold in June, and the huge increase in that luxury market really does impact the average prices. So you just got to be careful when you're looking at that. Condos, on the other hand, we've seen our inventories double. One of my condo listings, I looked at the inventory from last week compared to this week, and it's up 16.8%. So that's in the C1 waterfront and Niagara districts, down by the waterfront, west side of the city and of the core. And you had a 17% increase in inventory in 2+1 bedrooms.
But that makes sense.
You're talking about inventory piling up now in the condo market,
sure.
And we're getting further away from a strong seller's market. Prices haven't started to come down yet, but people just really aren't accepting lower prices. Eventually someone's going to say, I need to sell. And if I can't sell at the price that my neighbor got 3 months ago, then I'm going to have to lower the price. And that's going to start sending new trends. And I'm already seeing that. I'm again, I'm not here to, have a crystal ball, but I'm already seeing a softening condo market in the downtown core. 100%. It's very clear to me what's happening.
I'm sure that's the case, but I'm also sure that that's a temporary thing. That's going to get absorbed once things get back to normal. That's going to
We
disappear.
need immigration, we need foreign students, we need all that type of stuff to be in those downtown units. There's plenty of people in the GTA who don't need to live downtown with all the job changes and all that stuff. So yeah, you're right. You're right. It can be absorbed if we can have an influx of demand coming from those typical type of downtown buyers.
Yeah, and even with the amount that's on the market, like it doesn't last long. I don't know how many months it would be considered, but it would have to get really crazy for us again to go from crisis mode into like balanced or even buyer's market.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
seeing
Yeah.
like these are MLS. This is all resale stats too, right? This doesn't include
Yeah.
new, which I mean new is basically dead, and now I'm starting to see that starting like a couple of launches starting, but new condos is basically dead. Like nobody's buying that.
Well, you just can't go into the sales center,
You
so
can't. Yeah,
the developers aren't launching them. That's the truth.
that's the truth. But
They're holding off right
I
now. Yeah.
think oops, these 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 are all like if you look at this as a big picture, I mean, okay, so year over year total residential transactions were down 1.4% after a pandemic. Okay?
Yeah.
Like only 1.4%. Uh
And
then what's this next one? Seasonally adjusted. What is that? Sales
just
also?
the month
Yeah, so that's
before.
irrelevant, completely irrelevant. Average price we talked about, amazing. New listings up, sales to new listings ratio down, which is a good thing, right?
So right now, we I think an interesting stat is we're halfway through the year, so we're done 2 quarters. We've got a certain amount of sales. We're less sales overall, about 18% than we were at this same time in 2019. Okay. So if you think about it and just kind of very logically here, that there's a consistent amount of people who are looking to buy and sell every single year. So because of 18% of those people were not able to buy in the first 2 quarters of this year for various reasons, it should indicate that the last 2 quarters of this year are going to have an increase in sales that are going to be higher than it normally would be because there's going to be this huge amount of pent up demand from the first 2 quarters where people's capabilities were taken away from them in different types of ways. So
So,
that's what I'm expecting is to now start seeing a huge increase in sales, at least for the third quarter, to be able to make up for what was lost in the first and second.
spread itself over the rest of the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Same volume, just spread out differently than normal.
And if listings don't keep up, that puts pressure on prices.
Prices are going to go crazy.
So
So,
what are we advising all 23 subscribers to do that are thinking about selling? Get your house on the market as soon as possible. Take advantage,
all
right?
of you
Take advantage. Get
now.
out there. Make it happen. Whatever it is that you need to do, right? And if you're thinking about buying, well, the prices are going up, then sooner than later is probably your best bet.
Yeah, and you know, I was also saying I was talking to my partner right before we got on this call or that started the podcast is like this should not be and isn't a surprise. Like this if you know the Toronto market and you've been studying the Toronto market for years, this is like how Toronto's market should be responding right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then
Huge
if you
demand.
add in the great, you know, job that the government actually did in this, which is surprising that those words are even coming out of my mouth, but when you add that in, like we I think we have a foundation for a really, really strong takeoff right now. I mean, look, property days on the market are down 13%. Like things are just moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Thing
we're
and
definitely seeing that. I had a listing this week that sold 400,000 over asking.
400,000 over
Yeah,
asking.
it was aggressively priced, but it sold 100 grand more than the last sale on the street that was also detached, like similar. That was also a nicer house. So it shows that the market's increased quite a bit year over year because it was actually a better house that sold across the street. So it could be maybe a $200,000 swing. That other house probably would go for 200 or for 2 million now, just because of the way that it was.
Did it
But
have a
still,
pool?
400K over asking. Somebody was willing to move forward. It was a detached house in the core.
Did it have a pool?
No pool, no. Tiny little, 20 by 120 foot lot.
So what was the ask price?
1.5.
In the core?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Leslieville.
that's aggressively priced.
It was aggressive. Yeah, that's the neighborhood has the appetite for that. That's what the seller, understood, and that's what his plan was, and everybody was sort of under the same,
How many
pretenses.
offers?
7.
Nice.
Hmm.
And so where did the offers start?
The offers all came in good. There was a wide range. People just don't know the area and stuff like that. And in the end, 3 guys were all sort of at the very top, all bidding against each other to make it work. It was very close. So
That's
that's the
great.
reality.
Yeah,
People know
and
certain
like
people know that area better than others, right? So there's going to be disparity between values, right?
well, and like you said last week, like there's still 6 other buyers out there looking for a house, right?
Exactly.
And
Last night I was
and
at 2 multiple offers last night.
yeah,
Two other listings had multiple offers
how
on them.
many
One selling
offers? How
over
many offers?
3 on one and 2 on the other.
Okay, so we had 2, 3. So we had 7 people. No, we had 9 people lose out on just deals that you were working on in the last couple of days. So
Yeah.
they're still looking for houses, and
Yeah.
you're not the only realtor in town, although you are the best.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
There must be
A lot of
so
people,
many
a lot
buyers
of
out
buyers,
there.
right? There's a lot of buyers who are like cash in hand, ready to go. I'm ready to buy. Find me the right house, and that's the reality. That's just the way. That's the market we're in right now. And because if there's no options for the buyers, all those prices that I have seen in the last 2 days are all record prices. And I'm not going to say like I'm that that great and everything else too. There's a lot that we did to attract the buyer willing to pay that much money, but at the end of the day, it's pretty clear to reflect the current market conditions.
Yeah. So once again, the theme is the Toronto real estate market is on fire. You cannot stop this thing no matter what you do to it. I think we're lucky that we live in such a wonderful city and that we're part of such a fun game. Um, yeah, this is
And I
going to
think,
be exciting the next couple of weeks. I mean, I can't imagine news getting bad.
yeah, I think we wanted to get this, these stats out there. I think we accomplished that. I think this was a great podcast today, Darryl.
I agree
We nailed
completely.
it. We nailed it. We nailed it. I
We
think,
nailed it. So thanks everybody once
we
again.
talked about it. Subscribe, please.
Subscribe, please.
Add
If
to
you are
our subscriber
watching
list.
this, subscribe, please, or come check us out on Google Podcasts, iTunes Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. We
amazing.
are in the Spodcast business. Whatever the hell that
Thank
means.
you to all our sponsors.
Yes.
Even if you don't know that you're our sponsor yet, we do appreciate your support.
And on that note, we will talk to you tomorrow.
Awesome.